Oh, I am late due to technical difficulties. If anybody is interested, I am here. I'm conducting the class since 7 p.m. here at the school. Had a student or two, but I couldn't get the camera acknowledged, so it took me all this time to get it to work. Peace-wise, you. My apologies. This camera gave me technical difficulties. I used it for something else yesterday, a particular thing that I think I'm going to not do, or something. I don't know how to get it back. I feel like I fixed this by accident. Total chuck. So we'll see, But yeah, I've been here since 7. Started my class here. I've been here since 6:30. But finally getting online now to build with everybody. Really only have an hour here, so I really want to, get your questions, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to add on and stuff. P793rd. I had a detailed lesson plan and all that kind of stuff. There was one moment where I had the camera finally working and it was like all black and white, and it's just like crazy. It's like using infrared light or something. Right? And that's genus germ, right? Am I pronouncing that right? Interesting. Genus germ, I've never seen you on this. Speaking in the chat. So anything that you would like to know about this class, I could ramble on or deal with specifics for you. What pick you talking about, 793rd? Peace, Joe Self. That's peace. Anything that you would like to know or anything about this class, about this knowledge of self that we teach here at Allah School in Mecca. This is the Peace course, Political Education and Civilization Enrichment. Course I've been teaching here since 2000. Technically April of 2000. It's a long time. I have taught here every Thursday. I started from about 6 to 10. Then I made it after a couple of years, 7 to 10. The start time is distinct, but the end time is never, Also, you all were getting these notifications, right? I was restarting the computer and everything. I didn't know that these things even went out there, so that's crazy, Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, that's terrible. If you had any questions or anything like that, please let me know. I don't want to run through things, so I really want to deal with what you want to deal with. I have everything, so I don't want to just like say it. I will say this though. Now saying that the chat is disconnected, so I'm asking everybody to chat in here, and then it disconnects. Yeah, it's I think it's because my supposedly unlimited hotspot has reached its maximum. So something that's unlimited reached its maximum. So, go figure that concept. You know, so basically, I have quality until a certain point. All right. Yeah, there were twice that I actually got this thing to work, but it wouldn't work correctly. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, definitely. All right. Eric Therese. Peace. I know I said that. If I said that right, I don't know if I'm sure I say it as fluid as it ought to be. Um, so right now I'm at the school. I am manning the school by myself. In the years that I've been teaching, there's many classes where it was just me by myself, manning the front door. Not so if I get up, it's only to check out the front door and everything like that, right? Because we are in the actual classroom. Um, Anything you would like to know, Janice Germ, I would love those question marks to have something written before them so I can answer them. Because it's pressing and interesting. This course is called Political Education and Civilization Enrichment. So I feel the need, especially with my back that's done or not. But apparently he has built some type of platform. Some type of Black America, obviously, particularly what he's labeling is the, ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, dealing that this is nation slavery, dealing that this is nation politics of the American nation. That's well within logic, you know what I mean? I find it intriguing as a display of 85-ness, as a display of 85-ness. I think it's my mobile hotspot being a real jerk that is disconnecting the live stream, the chat, you know what I mean? The stream, you're not getting it wrong, the stream is probably slowing because I'm using mobile hotspot and I have a limited, I have, it's unlimited, but yet it's telling me that I've reached a certain limit. So it's basically giving me shittier service here with my mobile hotspot. Very, intuitively to get you on the chat. It was working good. Maybe that was why I had technical difficulties too. But the ice cream thing brings up the idea of political education. When the father was dealing with the Mayor John Lindsay and stuff, Mayor John Lindsay sent deputies, what he called deputy mayors, to all the neighborhoods that were in trouble in the 60s. This is during the 60s, to try to find resolve, find the demands, appease them, try to avert any kind of more rioting that was happening. What happened is that with the father working with the deputy mayor, Barry Gother, and then with the, with the mayor's office, this was also something that was seen at the time as the opposite of militancy and was totally, shunned as something that was negative. And, what's interesting is that the 85-ness in response to Ice Cube is that there's very bad analysis. It's like it's good guy, bad guy analysis. Listen, this is my understanding. If you are the transmission fighting itself. Yeah. Look at this. All these messages just popped up. You know what I mean? If you were thinking of politics as like good guy, bad guy, right? Most people are. What happens is that people that are more militant, I didn't say revolutionary, I said militant, they'll usually react and say, the hell with all the parties. I think that's a babyish way of thinking. Certainly in this election, though, you have aspects that have nothing to do, to me, that also have nothing to do with one devilishment. You have just what I think is just sloppy work. You know what I mean? You understand that the rule of empire is also something that is fought among those who oppress, among themselves, based on the quality of the rulership. In other words, they have arguments with themselves of the quality of their rulership. And if the quality of the rulership is sloppy, this is grounds for a dismissal, for a change of some sort. You know what I mean? Right? And although what we have with Donald Trump, and I think that what happens in this pandemic, and when people say plandemic, they're not wrong in many respects, but they're also putting too much power into the devil. The reason I say this is because disaster capitalism is a real thing. And it doesn't mean that they have to plan disaster anymore. They actually have the ability to capitalize on disaster. Okay? The disaster that's being capitalized on, though, this pandemic and is more in the response to the pandemic as opposed to the actual virus being true or not. We could say that the virus is true on the level that things have happened to our people. You know what I mean? We lost people that we know, people that we love, right? The gods that supposedly, right? And I'm just doing it for all the militants out there, supposedly return to the essence based on that. So what happens is that in the judgment of rulership, you have to understand that when you deal with politics in any kind of way, you are choosing the lesser of two evils, because this society is not ours, though, as far as rulership. So we are always choosing in a representative democracy. So even if it was in a utopia, the style of representative democracy always leaves something to something always lacking. Someone is always going to disagree with one of the mandates. So it's pretty much impossible to agree with anything across the board. It's just major things that you would agree with. Then when you have two parties like the Democrats and the Republicans that have done devilishment on both ends in nearly two completely different styles, it seems, then it becomes a thing where you just become apathetic and say the hell with it all. This is where the thinking that Ice Cube is coming with and says, I'm just going to make something that is bipartisan. Our issues, someone has to address it. And so I'll take it to whoever's listening. Here's the problem, though, with that. People are judging it based on Trump is evil, Cube is a sellout. And it's bad logic. Trump is evil, certainly. I think it is worth voting him out to whatever opposite there is, whatever other candidate there is. So Biden is on his devilishment, but what I don't like about Trump, and why the two main reasons I would advocate someone voting anybody other than him, right, is because I don't like the sloppiness of rule. It causes things that are capitalized on very well, as in disaster capitalism, very easily. So it leads by almost like a bumbling, it's almost like a bumbling idiot falling into fascism. Because I don't give credit to someone that has been a bubbling fool his whole career. And if you grew up in New York, then you definitely witness the bumbling nature of Trump throughout his career and the lack of respect of any of his endeavors. So this masterminding of Trump, he's basically enabled the real puppeteers like Mitch McConnell's and others to really go full throttle. It's more like it. So that's one reason, though. I don't like people think that a ruler that is openly devilish to you is a better enemy. That may be so, but I don't really define Trump as that being his major aspect. I define his major aspect as being bumbling. Most of this accidental, and that leads to the second thing that would be worth voting him out. In many of the Chinese ways of philosophy, especially the Neo-Confucian concepts, are that people are led, and the Confucian concept as well, but the Neo-Confucians really articulated this, after Confucius. Confucian concepts, Neo-Confucian concepts of humanity are that the people follow the nature of the leader. So even if the leader doesn't have the greatest policy, or let's say not policy, let's not put his ideas into this individual's, in this example, in this ruler's example. But let's say that this ruler just isn't great at fulfilling the things that they set out to. Then even still, the ruler is essential as part of an impact on a society because of the demure, the comportment, the way that they behave, the way that they react to certain things. In other words, the way that the ruler behaves is vitally important to the way that the populace engages. And for that, I think Trump is one of the most effective at proving that type of impact. You could say Obama is in the opposite end of that impact of showing, even if his policies were corrupt, and there were many corrupt policies and some good things that he started, and more so a lot of things that weren't done. But the nature by which he engaged himself gave a very powerful view of Black manhood to people, especially with his articulation, his dignity and repose, and the way that he behaved. That's a big deal. So if you're thinking things militantly and just militantly and not thinking revolutionary, then it's mainly reactionary, and you're not thinking about how the leader impacts the people's nature. It's very important. Very, very important. A lot of times the father wasn't always talking, but the way that it behaved impacted the way people behaved. Go read through the book. Okay? Right? Pull up my own here. Right? See if I can pull it up. I always forget the title of it. You know what I mean? I will read these comments in a little bit. I just want to get everything out. But when you read the true history of Allah and its 5%, the greatest story never told by the gods and earths who were there, right? I like to say the whole title. That juggernaut of a book, an essential book. A lot of the elders right? Tell their story. Did you realize that for those who read the book and for those who were around these elders, a lot of them who passed away, right? And so I have the simultaneous reality of knowing so many elders who are here and who passed away, who are around the Father, but also adding on with this book, it makes me notice that many of them were changing the nature of their lifestyle just by watching the way that he led. So it wasn't so much that, okay, that man is behaving a certain way of a dignified nature. It's that he's actually in the vein of leadership. And then now I am watching this leadership and the way that he comports himself in this leadership role. This is important. So when we pick a president, if you say, let me engage in picking a president, this is important because I expect very little from a president. And then the thing about Trump is that although he is bumbling, he is far more effective in devilishment than most presidents we've ever known, because he's able to affect people, not even with policy, you see? And that's a reason that I would want him voted out, though. I don't like people devils that powerful, that they could stumble into new powers just as their own stupidity. You know what I mean? Let me read some of these comments, though, to add on to this build here. So before I read the comments, right? My whole point with Ice Cube is that people are saying Ice Cube's a sellout when everything that we can see, we don't know what his plan is, right? So I don't deal with wisdom now, so that's the first thing I think. I'm like, I don't know what Ice Cube is saying. And then Ice Cube said in the video he posted on Twitter that he is the one that did a lot of research for this. So I didn't see him say that it was a bunch of people or who it was with. I'm sure it wasn't just by himself, but I'm like, I'm gonna be a real jerk here. I sound like a jerk here, but like, Ice Cube to me isn't a sellout musically. I won't judge his movies and stuff, okay? I don't even watch all of them. I don't even remember Friday because I don't care, right? His main thing was as a musician, and he's known legendarily. He will always be known as an MC. Albums like Death Certificate that are essential to anyone's collection. Your collection is trash or has a vacant hole without it, right? Especially Death Certificate. America's Most Wanted also, and any other. Death Certificate is more important than all of the NWA works. I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? You probably have a better argument arguing Fuck the Police versus the worth of the Ice Cube catalog than the albums versus Death Certificate. But anyway, the point being, Ice Cube himself has made albums that just aren't good. So he's not 100% with things, just like most people are. So it just points out that even though he might be 100 with the mentality of being for black folk, that doesn't mean he's 100% with what he wrote. I want to know what he wrote. What you bringing to them? I don't know. And I don't know, so why would I judge immediately? But if we look on the aspect of politics, technically, pitching this is way too late. Way too late that any kind of promise can be shelved. It has no way of. The actual plan that Ice Cube has no amount of time to be presented to the populace in detail, to see the alteration in the Trump and or Biden camps with what they've proposed, right? Because they propose things, right? And then to see if these proposals are out there. In other words, there would be too much education the populace would need, and then checking to see if it actually goes through and is done versus the differences, what they originally had, what Ice Cube's changes would be, add-ons, what it's too late in the game. So I thought that mostly Ice Cube's timing is very off to me. You know what I mean? And it lends itself to really the cleverness, where I thought that I think he reached out to both. I don't think this is what he said. He reached out to both Democrats and Republican parties, right? The Biden and the Trump camp. And I think that once the Trump camp was going to be very clever, because they've used the cleverness that goes beyond usual Republican thinking. Republican thinking would be to ignore. I think what they decided to do was to do the opposite of what the Democrats would do. The Democrats said after. So then their response is, let's address him now, and it makes Trump look good. And then they immediately broadcast it in a way that they are working. You see, a lot of black folk think they want to be anti what everybody else is. And since the prevailing left mentality reaching into the left wing, reaching into revolutionary mentalities, is anti-Trump. Now, the truth is, do you realize how hard Biden would have to work to match the litany of devilishment that Trump has done? Okay, you say if we say Biden is also devilish and he's going to do devilishment, I don't think he's as talented to achieve all of those points of devilishment. To keep kids in cages, to do all these other things, to change the way people deal with each other, to normalize certain behavior, right? To another extreme, right? I don't see it. So already it changes the choice. Now, I think Ice Cube already has a failure here, because the Trump had already, by the Trump campaign using him to say that they're working together, they're just looking at stuff. It already has officially, technically used Ice Cube as a tool. You know what I mean? So that's one of the major problems that I have with that. You know what I mean? And that's something that people are not really looking at. To say that he's a sellout just because, I mean, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I think his sincerity in all the things that he's done proves otherwise, right? And when you see thinkers and political thinkers like Rosa Clemente say stuff like, you know, Ice Cube's a sellout, he's doing bullshit, and hip hop can only be saved, I guess, from Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, then now, you know, now feminism is creeping into the misunderstanding and saying just dumb shit. You know what I mean? And when people look at things like bad guy, good guy, this is usually what happens. When the father did these works with Mayor John Lindsay, understand that all the militant movements for Black Power and revolution and upliftment, they were the enemy. The father was working with the enemy. And then if he gets bus trips, if he gets like this school, things like that, like they weren't seeing any of that. You know what I mean? They're thinking like, oh, look, he's getting like little things and he's selling out for little things. But we're the ones that are still here building. In fact, we're in the school that Mayor Lindsay gave the father. You know, so what people think is selling out, though, sometimes, it's not like, you know, law, but sometimes is poor perspective. All right, let me read some of these things. Yeah, I'm sorry about the quality of this, though. This is why I'm talking about current events, just because we don't have that much time, and I won't, you know, see what we could do later. Let's see. A lot of people said it's ironic that Joe Self says it's ironic that Cuba is being called out for wanting fiscal equality from the people who claim they want equality, especially in this day of equality. Or this day that borns equality, right? The Knowledge Power Day. Also interesting is the day's degree. Who is the 10%, right? The 10% is out there. How do we deal with the 10%? Do we not deal with them at all? Like, this is a very key thing. Like, how do we deal with the 10%? Do we never deal with them, or do we deal with them? Right? If you don't know how to deal with them, you avoid them. You don't deal with them. But sometimes they have to be dealt with. And sometimes we think in a kind of a babyish way that the only way to deal with them is by immediate violence or overturning. It's not the way life goes, you know. Genius Germ says, devil seems to continuously use the science of separation. Yakub saw this and used this a variety of ways. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's a major foundation to the strategy here. Even when Ice Cube talks about what's needed, he has to talk about ADOS, right? And separate, right? Because even our thoughts about how freedoms go, the politicians have for so long deliberately separated when it was convenient and unified when it was convenient. Black Americans say, what are you politicians going to do for us though? It says, well, I'm not here just to do things for black people, but we're a constituent. And if you're black, then you are a constituent, right? So when people like Kamala Harris have recordings where they say stuff like that, that's why it's seen as devilishment, you know? Because when Jewish people, Hasidic communities ask, what are you going to do for us though, politician? And they say, well, you know, I'm not really here to do just things. I'm not a Hasidic representative, you know, I'm a representative for all the people. They never say that. You know what I'm saying? Each group is supposed to ask the politician, what are you doing for us, this particular group? That's just the way it is, right? Any cop out of that shows devilishment. Genius Germ said, lately, oppression has devastating worsened, right? We are God of the universe, providing proper leverage to really bring balance back to the table. I think devilishment just, sometimes you just see it. But yeah, certain things have gone too far, right? Devil does more devilishment by accident than he does on purpose. You know, when they threw those atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they expected to destroy those populations 100%. That's the science of the atomic bomb at that time. This is the type of destruction. You know what I mean? But what happens when, I think the thing that Trump did was give license to the flowering of a lot of movements. And that's what he was put in there for. You know, white manhood is the foundation of rulership. And it needed a revitalization. You know what I mean? And he's done that. No doubt about it, he's done that. Five fingers can also write a beautiful story. 92, 3. Yeah, death certificate is 91, right? 93 is the next album. What's the name of it? The third album. No, the fourth album, which is, then Predator is 92 and 93 is what's the name of the album really though? Trying to remember the name. I got the cover in my head, but really good album. That was his last really, really strong album. After that, he kind of just made not good music. Not necessary music, if anything. You know what I'm saying? All right, Joe Self said, it's natural to use what you think you know to your advantage. The issue is people don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a, you know, Okay, Genius Germ said, I skipped one. I skipped a couple of things. Wait a minute. Let me go back because the conversation. Okay. Genius Germ said, depends on what time it is and the nature of being a warrior writing beautiful poems in the middle of battle will surely lose. Ah, you mean I'm gonna lose? I've been writing a lot of poetry in the middle of these battles. Joseph said, oppression is a mind state. God is not oppressed. I have knowledge of the powers that run government. 790 does an impacting thinking. Okay. I'm trying to relate to where I was talking about. Genius answered Joseph. I like this little back and forth you two have. Are we using the knowledge to our advantage? Are we applying it though? Doesn't look like it to me. Okay. And Joseph answered back, my point is it's not the power, it's the knowledge. How you use that which you have. And Joe also added, who is we? We the best knower in any cipher. We, the best knower is something to be earned. Just because the black man is the true and living God doesn't mean he's the best knower. He'd be the stupidest fuck in the room. It's just the way that we're living, right? Sometimes it's not the knowledge you have, but the understanding that you have, okay? Because we're oppressed, though, usually we have the least amount of knowledge. If I had to generalize, you know? Knowledge without application never gets to the understanding. Janice, what is your righteous name, though? Give me some background here. You talking and you sound really knowledgeable and stuff. And you sound like you have this knowledge for a while, so right now you know you guys are all mystery gods if you don't let me know. So talking to mystery gods, and this is a reason why the digital classroom is not as potent and valuable as the in person. You know what I mean? Right. Okay. Okay. I think Joe Self and Gina's term, some of the art back and forth you have is more semantics. Where both of you kind of saying the right things, though. It's just situations that it seems not suited for. Well, Gina's Germ, the history of all societies is using people against each other. And Europeans have never agreed with each other on how to rule or who of them should rule. Right? In fact, many of the times people say that our people are savages because of the interplay and the politics of it, you know, and no more you could see that in the stances that different Native American tribes have had to take, you know, over these 400 plus years of oppression that they have and genocide that they have fought against. Right? Hey, Infinite Mind is here. All right. Okay. Qualified. Okay. Fine. Okay. All right. Hmm. You know, you said something interesting, Mr. G1. You said Yakub discovered unlike attract, alike repel on, you know, by accident while playing with two pieces of steel. I don't know. We see it like that. Like for example, Infinite Mind will get this though. A lot of times, the terminology of playing when you're dealing with martial arts is really like working with the weapons. So like play with the weapon, you know, and you're not fooling around with it. Like you're not, you know, using it like a doll or something or whatever like that. You're practicing with it, right? You're playing with it. Yes. Yeah. You know what? Thank you for that. I find you lethal injection. Yeah. By the way, lethal injection is a lot better. Um, Has a good longevity, by the way. Just as a side note, since God, Chad, you finally let me remember. I forgot the name, but when you play with two pieces of steel, doesn't mean that you're. What was he doing by playing? You know what I'm saying? Because it says when he was 6 years old. That doesn't mean six. You know what I mean? It means that he was in a state of equality, a state of balance, though. He was dealing with the study of these things. And playing means that you're experimenting, trying new things. You know what I mean? Peace with Hip Hop 216. So it's not by accident that you discover principles, you know? He's a scientist. He was experimenting with the highest of explosives. And then he tried the ultimate experiment, which has, I think, been a very successful fucking experiment. Fucking white man. Holy shit. Fucking crazy. You know what I mean? All praise is due to the white man, right? How many years would it take us, though, if we had to deal with these issues of separation without actually making a man to represent all of that was within us? Who knows, right? Would it take the quarter, less than a quarter of a Quran, or would it take a whole Quran? Because 6,000 years is a little less than a quarter, right? You know, Genius Germ, they say, imagine you say distraction, separation, infighting causes us to lose sight of the best part. I think that we have to acknowledge sometimes also what are the details of the infighting stuff instead of just trying to ignore it. See, we keep seeing other people build, and we say, look, they don't fight and this and that. Especially Black Americans do this stuff. You know, Puerto Ricans do it a lot here, especially here. Like, oh, you know, we're the ones, you know, Puerto Ricans growing up, never trust a Puerto Rican. You know, shit like that. Like, oh, don't trust your own people. It's always the same within groups. The thing about Black Americans, because they're exploited and shown out there, like everything they do is an exploited art. Their oppression is an exploited, you know, is theater to the world. You know, unlike more so than any other peoples on the planet, the oppression of the Black American is the greatest theater. You know what I mean? And so sometimes the so-called Black American assumes that other groups really have this wonderful fucking harmony amongst themselves as being oppressed, and they don't, though. You know what I mean? They don't. You know, they don't have any harmony. You know, it's just that the disharmony that is among the Black American is highlighted. So then what has to be is like, sometimes when you look at disharmony and infighting and separation, you have to find out like what are the reasons of the separation. You have to find out like what are the arguments that are leading to the same separation all the time, and not just say let's put bygones on the side and stuff like that. That shit hasn't worked. Okay, that shit hasn't worked. That means that the things we're arguing, a lot of them may be of value and importance to have addressed. Right? It is when you address them, then you can let them go. I think as a people, though, we don't really know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? And every single day, it's a losing battle because the ADOS world that is seeking some kind of like reparations or some type of special things, every single day, the oppression of the original people everywhere by, let's say, the American becomes more and more evident. And it becomes then more, the plight of the Black American becomes less and less unique. You see? And that's why it's very important, though, for all of humanity not to define themselves by the worst of their group. You know what I mean? And that includes, you know, the white man too. If white man is getting knowledge of himself and trying to be a righteous white man, knows the truth, um, he is ineffective if he's going to have to move and answer for the burdens of millions and millions of crackers. It's possible. It's possible. Take on a task and you can succeed in. Chad Smith says, if a politician walks into a meeting, that sounds like a joke. This politician walks into a bar, right? But walks into a meeting with Jewish people and say, I'm the president of all of America, their career in politics is done. Yeah, they would be, yeah. You know what I mean? You want that flag with the ebony background. The ebony background. I don't even know about that one. But Janus Germ says the blue and the white Nile joined to form the river in which one of our greatest civilizations were built. To this day, we will towards the east and remember what they couldn't erase out of our history. You can't erase everything. You gotta use some of it. Infinite Mind says today's math is knowledge power. Know your power, Black God. Refinement means to continue to make yourself better. Peace, God. Gina says, I keep learning that it's the wisdom that requires refinement because the knowledge is infinite. Interesting. Gotta think about that one. Yeah, definitely a fan, Chad. Knowledge, power, refinement, all being born in equality. Infinite Mind says, because our true power lies in our equality with one another, our equality within nature, the universe, and life in general. Where's Bond? That's right, Joseph, as he corroborates. That's peace. All right, I see some good building here. Indeed. So, Infinite Mind quoting Bronx Tale. The we got a little bit more than 15 minutes, and then I'll be off air here. Anybody has anything to say? Any bills to throw, or just want to ask a question? Now would be the time. I was building an ice cube in this whole thing because I wanted to see the relevance as it relates to how we look at things, how we judge things, but also that the history of this nation is based on that type of building. Not really caring about the political affiliation that someone has. You know what I mean? The truth is, if we vote out a person like Trump or something, it's because of that individual, though. It's a piece of shit. And I don't like bumbling leadership. I think it's chaotic, though. You know what I mean? And revolution doesn't play out well. If you study it, revolutions, people think it's revolution and everything. Revolutions don't really play out well. When the revolutionaries engage or hope for anarchy. let's let anarchy happen, and then we'll pick up the pieces. No, this is not average white band, pick up the pieces. Um, doesn't really work that way. You know what I'm saying? What usually happens is fascism. You know, the when government gets sloppy and authoritarianism is usually used to get that grip back, and that's where fascism has its ways to get in. You know, so and that usually happens when there's chaos. And what's a better way to have chaos than a bumbling leader, right? Right. So this is why I, definitely would advocate. Like, it's almost ridiculous to try to pitch this now. Like, that's another reason why Ice Cube, I wasn't really into him pitching this now. I thought it was bad timing because there's nothing that Trump can do in 1 month to show and prove that, he would advocate. So it's not really the time, it's too late, Indeed. I'm letting it go in the chat because Infinite Mind is holding it down. Right? Holding it down. Infinite Mind also has an incredible essay he wrote that's going to be in the new Righteous Way book, the last of the trilogy, the Infinity Edition. And it's a monster. You know what I'm saying? It's a monster. And I got to text you. I was supposed to text you, Infinite Mind, to get me some Kung Fu pictures. You know what I mean? A bevy of them. So that way we could choose. You want to put at least 1 or 2 in the book. So I'll remind you later about shit. I'll just remind you now. So some dope pictures of you doing something super, that's what we need in the book, you know what I mean? To go with the essay, But then it's complete, you know what I mean? The book is very near completion, and very near getting to the last. It's really in the formatting stage now, so it's almost out there. And if you read the first 2 Righteous Way books, which I had the honor of editing as well, and ended up editing a whole trilogy. It's to me, it's the best one. You know what I mean? And it's really a highlight of my career to have edited these 3 books, man. It's great. Now, again, I don't teach refinement anymore in the power degree because most people use it all wrong. When Infinite Mind uses it, and I taught Infinite Mind, and and he uses it right and exact, where it's useful and it's not just an articulation, a misarticulation of culture in the power. You know what I mean? And that's what's important. You know what I mean? When you use refinement in power, it's really a reminder, a mental cue of the focus. Because this is a teaching tool, Supreme Mathematics teaching tool. It's not a spell book. So that's very, very important. You know what I mean? And he's breaking it down by the suffix, prefix, you know what I mean? The core of the word, Genius term, what is your righteous name? Let me know what your righteous name is. Very good at giving, something to do. When you start to really build and get comfortable, you have a better strength at making examples, you know what I mean? Examples of things, you know what I mean? I notice you do that a lot in this short time on the chat, which is a skill, right? Absolutely, Infinite Mind. Culture without freedom is in danger of being dictated to. Freedom without culture is having no respect for morals. Absolutely. Chad said, truth be told, I want another 4 years of Trump for this reason. Our people have a common enemy who's unapologetic about his white supremacy. No, I don't think so. I don't think that people deserve that. I don't think that people are ready, because all we're learning is that that people that hate us are more prepared than us. So it doesn't. I don't think it helps. You know what I mean? And again, you cannot. Revolution is not always is usually not sparked well by the anarchy of a situation. You know what I mean? Even when you study Fidel, it was trying times that was happening, but the country had not decayed into anarchy. Not before Fidel had started the attacks of the revolutionaries. That's different, you know? So, because when things descended to anarchy, it's also the perfect platform for fascism. You know what I mean? And fascism can be rooted much quicker than a revolution can be sparked. You know, and for those reasons, I don't advocate it though. You know what I mean? I don't advocate the death of people and the destruction. You know, or that cold hard awakening. I also, in my own mind, I don't bear witness to the idea that this knowledge of self always needs a negative spark, because in my mentality, the knowledge of self is really the greatest revolution. So those are my. That's how I see it on that level. You know what I mean? We're almost at the place where a lot of us are waking up. If Biden wins with Kamala, right focus. That's a much better word. Okay, I'm reading. Okay, Joe, I got you. I got yourself. Um, I feel it's going to be the Barack Obama effect of we're going back to sleep. Plus, the focus of white supremacy will be on us. At least Trump is an equal opportunity racist. This is true. This is true. I mean, if you look at it in that way. But at the same time, though, he also stumbled into this virus, though. You see? And look at what we're dealing with. So that's something that, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, like, this is a person that has been able to cause death and destruction by accident. You know what I'm saying? And if you think that he said this is going to be great for the country, let's fuck this virus, let it come in, then you put too much genius into an idiot. You know what I'm saying? And only if people masterminded this pandemic to work this way, which I doubt, not all the way this way. How, what you're really seeing is their ability to capitalize on it, but that's been happening since New Orleans when the levees broke. This has become a strategy of finding the destruction and capitalizing on it. You know what I mean? Just like America had to learn guerrilla warfare by suffering guerrilla warfare, right? And that's why Vietnam lasted so long. So they don't always go into things planned, but then when they find the use of it, though, um, collateral damage is irrelevant. You know, and that's the thing, though. There is a lot to learn from the devilish been happening, and collateral damage will not be part of the is not relevant in the equation. So I just couldn't root for it, though. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so me personally, I vote it's definitely against Trump. Absolutely. You know what I mean? I wouldn't vote for Trump at all. You know what I mean? And I don't intend to. You know? I don't intend to. You know what I mean? Infinite Mind said power is our ability to bring about change. How did I lose you? Change, make things happen, be able to have one or more people to do something for common goal. Righteous, Sarge, righteous, yes. Okay. I see you, Infinite Mind. That's all you wanted to say, and it's well said, God. You'll sit down and think about it, Jen. Yeah. You know what though? Shit. Yeah, you gotta study fascism though. You know what I'm saying? Because um anarchy, leads to fascism faster than revolution. You know what I mean? Yeah, Infinite Mind. Yeah, there was no doubt that when I saw what was happening with Ice Cube, that today was going to be dealing with the P more than the ACE. You know what I mean? On some levels. 793. That was a beginning, but not enough. You know what I mean? To engage with. You know what I mean? Self, I can't really disagree with you. If you feel that abstaining from this vote is how you exercise power, that's you have the right to vote. So if you decide not to vote, then that's also part of that, right? Me not participating in a game I don't respect is a display of power. It could be, but let me give you another comment there about that, right? Unfortunately, though, you can't step out of the game, though. You see? So you're basically staying on a square. You didn't step off the board. So when you don't vote, understand that you didn't really step off the board. A lot of people think if they don't vote that they're out of the matrix. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you, Joseph. I'm saying the mentality of people that just are apathetic and don't vote. You know what I mean? And the reason I want you to be I ask revolutionaries, if you have a revolutionary mindset, you have to actually engage in voting at least once. You know what I'm saying? To do the knowledge, so you have to engage in studying some of the politics of your neighborhood, the local politics and things like that. You know what I mean? It's important. You know what I mean? All of the years and years I skipped voting for presidents and stuff was because of that. I had engaged in politics and with politicians locally, and I hated it. You know what I mean? I saw the devilishment, but I was firsthand in it. You know what I'm saying? Doing the knowledge. And as a young man, I didn't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna vote on this one though, just because. You know what I'm saying? And I find it intriguing because I'm in Staten Island now, so a completely racist borough. So I just like the idea of voting for things that the borough wouldn't vote for. You know what I'm saying? So that makes it interesting too. You know what I mean? Yeah, however you do it though, you know what I mean? But I don't disagree with you, Chad. But then I have to amend it and say Staten Island is the most racist. Okay, is that good? Gotta give Staten Island the number one on that one though. You know what I'm saying? You know? If they all racist though, the Staten Island the most, you know what I mean? The borough with the mostest, you know. But with that said though, if we're 5%ers and stuff, voting is a small add-on to the community work that we do. You know what I'm saying? And for some of us that are very young, I want you to go vote because I want you to be involved, know all of the facets of the community. Like I mentioned Fidel. Fidel was a genius on the concepts of capitalism and the nature of capitalism and the going on. So he studied that. He studied the formats of government that he disagreed with, and the formats of economy that he disagreed with intensely. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? You got to study your enemy, though, right? That Last Samurai, right? Since Infinite Mind, you on the movies, right? You got to know your enemy, though. They don't give a damn about the samurai. I want to know my enemy, right? But that was my Tom Cruise imitation, right? But the thing that, when we deal with it like that, it lets you see what other people are looking at. When you're with the people, though, sometimes you have to see what they look at. You know what I'm saying? So we always think about, the father, he drank and smoked with everybody. That's not the only way that you could understand the perspective of people, though. Sometimes, you know what? I don't F with the voting, though. I'm gonna go vote though, just so I can see the cipher, how it goes. Like Remember, people are oppressed while they go vote. They have to deal with racism while they vote. They have to deal with voter suppression and all that. Go amongst the people, though. Go through that battle with them. See what they're dealing with so you understand what people are dealing with. A lot of times, though, no matter what you think about voting, for a lot of humanity, you know, for a lot of the 85, this is, out of all the things that they have decided to do, this really ends up being their best power. Because they just won't be able to, or don't know how to, or just can't engage, you know, community work in any other kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Right? So if you never voted, I would definitely tell you to vote, though. So I want you to experience that. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's not like a blunt, you know. You ain't gotta. It's not an after-school special. You ain't gotta. You don't smoke if they pass you the blunt. I'm not talking about, right? I'm talking about doing an analysis to that. You know? I cannot go against that thinking, Joseph. My thinking is if I vote, I'm consenting to this thing and wisdom. See, the thing is, though, the way I see it too, right? Sometimes, I'm not saying yourself, right? But just perspectives, right? I'm not going to vote for the lesser of two evils. We always vote for the lesser of two evils, though, right? Every time I go to the store and I pick a product to eat, I'm always voting lesser of two evils. And I'm teaching about the health at the highest levels. But understand that every time you choose something to eat, you're choosing the lesser of two evils. You know what I'm saying? Because something has been denatured and somehow something is messed up. You know what I mean? There is always the fiscal barrier, right? How much money you have. So the opportunity cost of getting this versus that. So in our daily lives, we're always choosing, in many respects, the lesser of two evils. We just call it something else. We call it, I'm getting the best for my buck. I'm getting the best this. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, technically, in a representative democracy, there will never be a candidate that you agree with 100%. And if you do, I guarantee you, though, that in your own community, right? Because it's not just for you, it's your community. Somebody in there, a chunk of people in there will have things that they disagree with. You know what I mean? And that is the worst endorsement for Biden that I could ever give. But you know, it could have been, you know, it could have been Kermit the Frog that was fucking running. You know what I mean? It's really the other elections, and you know, let this. If you never voted, I would use this one as a prep, you know, and get yourself in the door. You know what I mean? Because it also too with voter suppression, if you could actually go through the bureaucracy of voting on this one, the presidential election, then you will have much better practice in getting through on the other ones. You know, you'll be able to. You know what I'm saying? Everything you're saying, I cannot deny it. I'm just offering a different way of looking at it. You know what I mean? Infinite said, here's my power with voting on a federal level, specifically with the executive branch of government. Yeah, indeed. You know? And yeah, I see what you're saying. Gina said, is it true that CNN and Fox are both owned by the same company? I don't know. That's a good question. I think a simple Google search might find the answer, though. Right, it doesn't affect. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Always kind of real hip hop 216. I said blunt, and he said, who got it? Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most likely, you know, people talk about third world countries, but what's interesting is that, you know, since for this whole century, the elections have been, you know, let's be honest, rigged. And America, so hypocritical, used to go to all these Latin American countries to verify that these brown people countries would be able to do these elections fairly and civilly. And it's really, some other country that probably should come here to check on these elections, You vote for 120 lessons. Thanks for the ad on CNN and Fox itself. Right. But with that said, we're 5 minutes past 10. I hope that with the limited time I was able to get on here. I really was trying to get on here much earlier, but I had technical difficulties. But we were able to get on. So, with that said, email me. If there's anything, go to the Peace Corps section in 5% Media and read the latest columns and stuff. Any questions you have about them or anything, please let me know. And by the way, if you want to write for 5percentmedia.com, just contact me about that too. I'll get it in there too. We're still kind of like looking for more people. We're looking for more people to do it and stuff like that. Right now, if it looks like a one-man show, Sunez doing it. It pretty much is. I'm empowering the thing myself. So writing about anything, you know what I'm saying? Right. You know me, if like any type of writing, anything that you want to write, you know what I mean, that's relevant to, the nation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, how your day went. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah. Let's do it if you know what I mean. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I think it's time for me to log off though. Infinite Mind's being a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? But on that note, peace to God, Infinite Mind. If you could get me them pictures though, that'd be great. Not necessarily the essay about what you were gonna wear, but with everybody, the contact me. I know this session was shorter online, but I was here the whole time. So, all right. Until next week, peace.